All right. So, managing site operations and specifically kind of like what does that mean? The basis of my presentation today will be wrapped in the RAND study. And the RAND did a study titled Getting to Know Work on Summer Learning. And really, this study kind of brings in all the process information it is in managing site operations. And it looked at several summer programs in the National Summer Learning Project, and it really kind of wanted to identify what were some of those planning practices and what were some of those quality standards that stood out to high functioning summer programs. All right. And so what they did is that they also brought off all of those key factors and practices, and they kind of gave us an outline. So if you're thinking about what your summer learning program will look like, here are some of the process planning tips that you might want to go ahead and consider. First, planning calendars that begin in December. It talks about starting planning early as possible. I know in some of those questions they talked about a timeline and when should you start. You should start as soon as possible. However, you start from the point that you are. So if you're just now starting now, that's fine. A lot of these things can be modified and they can be moved for shorter time frames. Also, having a dedicated summer planning team with authority to engage and oversee departmental leaders. We see that there's a lot of district leadership here. We see that there's also a lot of site leadership here. So making sure that everyone is a part of this process, and then also sharing this information in future meetings with your site level team. Having a cross departmental planning team with defined roles and responsibilities, engagement of summer site leadership and planning, and also a process to collect, discuss data, focus on program attendance, instructional time and practices, and site climate. So these were kind of like the processes that stronger programs followed. So today, as we talk about managing site operations, we're going to kind of define what that managing site operations or what site operations mean. You'll see on your slide that there are several categories that are listed in the NSLA and RAND study. And managing site operations, summer planning falls within that. Youth and family outreach, recruitment and enrollment falls within there. Staff models and recruitment, staff professional development, program scheduling, site management, daily operations, and safety. So today we're going to take a closer look at summer planning, the summer planning program schedule and daily site operations. We encourage you to join future workshops where we'll kind of discuss staff professional development and student recruitment. And you can also review past workshops that discuss staffing models and recruitment. You'll also see on this slide that there is an image of a tool that can be used. If you're not sure currently, or you want to heat check where you currently are in your program design, there is a tool that we have developed at SCRI that will kind of help you figure out where you are in the program planning process. It's the LEA Summer Learning Needs Assessment. And so that's what's pictured above. The needs assessment will kind of allow you to gauge where you are and the point where you are, which is out of 5-6 average from the chat, and then move on from there in the key steps needed to move your program forward. All right, next slide. So now that we're talking about managing summer operations, let's talk about the summer planning process and what that entails. That's focusing on creating and managing a planning timeline, developing a planning timeline, and identifying key milestones and due dates that are important to your program. Now, those key milestones and due dates may come from several places. They might be district timelines to get things in or get things processed. They might be student timelines based on student calendars, or even if you're thinking about parent timeline and then making decisions. But identifying what those are and then moving from there from the planning process. Planning and sustaining a successful summer program involves more than just an early start. It also requires inclusive practices that attract support from both inside and outside of the district for year-round planning and long-term success. And these include, building a year-round planning team. inviting the right district experts to your team. That may include curriculum people or transportation people, human resources, procurement, information technology, and facility leaders. And looking at those key milestones and due dates, as being the program manager, you may not know what's going to happen in the future in any of these different areas, and bringing them in can bring in a time for you to assess any roadblocks that you might encounter while you're looking at what does it look like to manage your program. Also, align your focus, connect program goals to larger district goals for broader buy-in and sustainability, and cultivate champions. Discuss with key stakeholders ideas for long-term district and community engagement.